Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness, day 241 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. All righty. All right. It's going to be a smooth ride today. So let's go ahead and get into this meditation routine. And we'll be on our way. Good morning, everybody. Top of the morning to you. Miss Miner, Amanda, what's up? It's Wednesday. Garbage and recycle day today. Happy Wednesday. Good morning, Liz. Howdy. Brandon, good morning. What's going down? All right. All right, everybody. Good morning. Excuse me, and welcome back. Dum dum dum. We got a new listing going on the market today. So if anybody's looking down in the northeast Tacoma area, I will let you guys know when that goes live today. All right, so we just finished our meditation routine. We have some other really good news that's going to be dropping. Well, it probably won't drop today, but we have some other really good news that was recently manifested. And the only thing I can tell you girls and guys is this book right here. In terms of journaling your ideas, manifesting your reality, I'm telling you right now, powerful. Absolutely powerful. All right, we're on page 215 of 300, so we're almost done with this book too. And I just got wind. One of my good girlfriends, Rochelle, gave me a name of this book, and it's a mindset book. And I heard it's supposed to be fire. So prepare for that in like the next week and a half. I know it's a little whiles away, but yeah, it's literally right around the corner. So I'll see you guys on the other side. A New Earth is what we're reading right now by Eckhart Tolle. And let's get to it. Good morning, Marcus. Thanks, Amanda. You too. Auntie Louisa, good morning. All right. There we go. I like that. Hmm. Boom. All right, welcome back. So we just finished our reading routine, and now we're getting into our powerful morning journaling routine. So in our journaling routine, what I usually like to do is write about what I'm most grateful for, and in the morning, that is. And in the morning, that is waking up and being in perfect health. And then um, I go back to yesterday's activities and or experiences. Now, on a daily, there's something great that happens to me, right? Um, in my business, in my personal life, whatever it may be, right? But something great happening to me is like, obviously, is me waking up, you know, or me having the ability to tie my shoe yesterday. You know what I mean? Me having the ability to look, or to see, to brush my teeth, to put my clothes on. Those are all things that I find gratitude in, among others, right? So you have the obvious thing like, oh yeah, you got paid yesterday, or oh yeah, you had you you hit some type of different understanding about yourself that catapulted you into a different mindset, whatever it may be. So I show my respects to like the little things, and I write them out every single day. Whether it's something big, but if it's something I like, I'm more of a planner, so or future thinker, even though we're living in the now. But I like to write my goals out. I like to write things as they are, beyond my senses, and we'll get into that today because the book hit the nail on the head. But nonetheless, if you guys have questions about that, let me know how to journal, and I will see you guys on the other side. Okay, my beautiful people. So today was a truth day. Today is a day where we are affirmed in our thinking to a huge capacity or a huge degree. What does that mean? Getting ready to tell you. Ooh, that should be good. Okay. All right, now check this out. A powerful spiritual practice is consciously to allow the diminishment of ego when it happens without attempting to restore it. I recommend that you experiment with this from time to time. For example, when someone criticizes you, blames you, or calls you names, instead of immediately retaliating or defending yourself, do nothing. that's that's interesting, actually. I go into this like, I'm not gonna say manic, but I go into this interesting episode of like, if somebody like if I'm at the store and somebody says something super smart to me or is being a real butthead, I'm like, David, just don't respond. David, just don't respond. David, just don't respond. And then they just start looking at me like, what is this guy doing? And I'm like, man. And then I stop saying it out loud and I just say it in my head, I'm like, David, don't respond. David, don't respond. And then, I'm just like, but at the end of the day, I guess try that today. Or, if that even happens to you on a daily, or if it even happens to you every now and again. Allow the self-image to remain diminished and become alert to what that feels like deep inside of you. For a few seconds, it may feel uncomfortable, as if you had shrunk in size. Oh, it happened to me at Costco when I was in the pizza line. And the lady is always so rude. She's always so rude. Like rude. And I had $100 bill and I went in there and there's a protocol. She's like, oh, I can't take the $100 bill. And I'm like, why? I just spent $20, buying this big pizza and a number and some other things, right? I was going to have lunch with my dad. And she's like, I can't break it. And I'm like, you can't break it? Since when did Costco wholesale stop taking $100 bills? I don't care where I'm at, whether it's at the food line or if I'm at the main line. Like, and she just was super rude. And I was just like, David, just disregard it. Just use your card. Just use your card. Just use your card. But there is a protocol that they're supposed to follow, and she didn't follow it. And so that had to be addressed. So you haven't diminished at all, right? When you allow yourself to take this onslaught of energy. For a few seconds, you may feel uncomfortable, as if you had shrunk in size. Then you may sense an inner spaciousness that feels intensely alive. You haven't been diminished at all. In fact, you have expanded. You may then come to an amazing realization when you are seemingly diminished in some way and remain in absolute non-reaction, not just externally, but also internally. You realize that nothing real has diminished, that through becoming quote unquote less, you become more. When you no longer defend or attempt to strengthen the form of yourself, you step out of identification with form with mental self-image. Through becoming less in the ego's perception, you in fact undergo an expansion and make the room for being to come forward. True power, who you are beyond form, can then shine through the apparently weakened form. This is what Jesus means when he says, deny yourself or turn the other cheek. So really big thing here is it's easy to get offended. We've all been offended before. But the next time you get offended or next time somebody, punches you in the gut with their words or with their actions, realize what's going on within you. And the moment that we begin to realize is the moment that we start coming into awareness even more strongly. And then we can see that bubbly, negative, angry reaction that comes out of us to this experience or this thing that we just had. encountered. So this does not mean, of course, that you invite abuse into your life. And we talked about this, right? So there's certain times when you just let things go, and there's certain times when you actually have to address them. And some people will take, some people will take your kindness for weakness. Oh, he doesn't get mad much. Oh, he's a nice guy. Oh, he's so positive and optimistic, or she's so positive and optimistic. Yeah, that's great. But as soon as you step over that gray line, you're going to get addressed. And then at that moment, it's like, I know kind of what gets me going, quote unquote, right? Like, I'm aware enough to see, hey, is this something that I just need to walk away from, or is this something that needs to get addressed? And when it gets addressed, it's something usually that comes up within you over and over and over again, and then you address it. And so again, that this does not mean, of course, that you invite abuse or turn yourself into a victim of unconscious people, right? Sometimes the situation may demand that you tell somebody to back off in no uncertain terms. Without egoic defensiveness, there will be power behind your words, yet no reactive force, which is huge because you're not attacking people. And we talked, again, we didn't even read this, and we were having this discussion like a week ago or maybe a few days ago. The manner in which you tell that person, or the manner in which you deliver your message to them when they're getting addressed, doesn't promote antagonistic energy, right? Or heightened energy, sense of energy. When you say it to them, you're delivering them the truth, this thing that's going to sting with them. It's going to stay with them, right? It's going to sting them, where it's like, that's like a higher thinking. Like, everybody has truth. Everybody is love. Everybody has come into those two things though, right? But those things still resonate within us because that's the deepest core of our fundamental DNA. And we can all resonate and align with it at the right times or the right periods of time. So when you address that issue from a place of being fair, right? Let's just say it's fair. Not everything is fair, right? But if you address it and there's something that comes up for you and you have a logical preset to it, then that it doesn't evoke, again, hostility. And it may, but then at that point you exit. But you're not doing it to evoke hostility and problem and drama. You're doing it to say, hey, you just said this to me and it didn't make me feel good. Okay, I understand you're not in the feel good making business, but at the end of the day, I'm just telling you how I feel, right? In the discussion, you walk out. If necessary, you can also say no to someone firmly and clearly, and it will be what I call a high quality no. This is free of all negativity, right? So we're creating better spaces around us, not more negative spaces around us. If you are content with being nobody in particular, content not to stand out, you align yourself with the power of the universe. What looks like weakness to the ego is in fact the only true strength. This spiritual truth is dramatically opposed to the values of our contemporary culture and the way it conditions people to behave. If somebody if a gentleman, when I'm out in downtown Seattle with my wife, says something absolutely off the wall to me, right? I have one or two options. I can either respond, get in a fight with him, and go to court, and then be in the criminal justice system, and my whole life goes down the shit. I mean, the goes down into the deep abyss of nowhere. Or pause, reverse. Then I can get into trouble. So, or I turn around, acknowledge, and then just keep moving on. Unless physically provoked, where you're in a defensive state, everything, unless physically provoked, right? Everything else falls short of being in physical motion with somebody else. Just move on. It's not that big of a deal. And yeah, people may judge you and say, oh, well, he was a punk or she was a punk for not doing this or doing that, not standing up for themselves. But who really cares? Just walk away, right? Just walk away. If not physically provoked, just walk away. There's so much more to live for, especially when you're like living a conscious life. Like, anyway. So instead of trying to be a mountain, teaches the ancients Tao Te Ching, be the valley of the universe. In this way, you are restored to wholeness, and so all things will come to you. So go against the contemporary culture of being a tough guy or a tough girl, and just simply be one with the universe. Be a valley of energy that allows for negativity to come and leave just as fast as it came. Another aspect of this practice is to refrain from attempting to strengthen the self by showing off, wanting to stand out, be special, make an impression, or demand attention. It may include occasionally refraining from expressing your opinion when everybody else is expressing his or hers, or seeing what that feels like. So, really common one would be X person is performing at X level or doing X thing, and one person in the group is saying something, and then you're there, always there also in the group, and they're giving their opinions about this person, and then the collective starts giving a judgment or passing a judgment about this person. At that moment, um, that would be a perfect time to practice biting your tongue or holding your tongue. First off, because that's gossip, and then second off, because it's just not healthy energy, right? To be talking negatively about somebody. Um, and then obviously any other way that you can characterize or contextualize, what we just read here about standing out, being special, making an impression, or demand attention. It may include refraining from expressing your opinion. So it's all going to be up to you and how you define that. As without, so within is the next section of this chapter. Let me hurry up and jam through this because I got to get going too. If you don't become speechless when looking out into space on a clear night, you are not really looking, not aware of the totality of what is there. You are probably only looking at the objects and perhaps seeking the name to them. If you have ever experienced a sense of awe when looking into space, perhaps even felt a deep reverence in the face of this incomprehensible mystery, it means you must have relinquished for a moment your desire to explain and label, and have become aware not only of the objects in space, but of the infinite depth in space. Look at the stars tonight and tell me how you feel later on. It's absolutely amazing. And that's just a simple act of stopping to smell the roses. Stop to smell the roses. Let us put it like this. Okay, so we're starting to get into nothingness. So the author does a very elegant job of explaining reality versus imagination. Okay, and we've talked about this, two different realities. You can live in a spiritual space or you can live in a physical space. Your senses want you to believe what you see, taste, touch, and hear, and your imagination and your spiritual space allows you to think even bigger than what your senses and what your actual reality is saying. Sorry, that's so corny to me. Oh, I'm being realistic. I'm like, dude, you don't understand. Yeah, your realistic realism is the one reason why you're limited, you being realistic. Anyway, so my point here is he does a good job explaining David, how do you believe something that you can't see? How do you believe something that is nothingness? And let's put it like this. There is something within you that has an affinity or some type of alignment with space. That is why you can be aware of it. Aware of it? That's not totally true either, because how can you be aware of space if there is nothing there to be aware of, right? How can I live above my reality in a spiritual space if I can't see my physical or my spiritual space? How does that work? How does it work for me to have my senses that literally tell me I'm looking at the floor, I'm looking at this rug on the ground, right? It's right in front of me. The senses, that's how the senses work, right? They tell you what is. So when the eye finds nothing to see, that nothingness is perceived as space. When the ear finds nothing to hear, that nothingness is perceived as stillness. When the senses which are designed, hear me out here, you guys. This is really, 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 really key part of coming into consciousness. I believe enlightenment and manifesting what it is that you wish to have in this life. When the senses are designed to perceive form, meet an absence of form, the formless consciousness that lies behind perception and makes all perception, all experience possible, is no longer obscured by form. When you contemplate the unfathomable depth of space or listen to the silence in the early mornings just before sunrise, tick, 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 truth, something within you resonates with it as if in recognition. You then sense the vast depth of space as your own depth, and you know that precious stillness that has no form to be more deeply who you are than anything that make up the content of your life. Does that make sense? So, Eric, good morning. Carl, good morning. So pretty much what this is saying is, yes, you don't see it right in front of you, but that doesn't mean that that's not your reality. You have the ability to create your reality. The way that you do that is not allowing your senses to demand on you what it is, what you feel, what you see, what you taste is what it is. Period. When you find that stillness in the morning, just to be 15 minutes just sitting here in yourself, that stillness is reality. Because in that very second, in that very moment, you are creating your reality. The thoughts that you're procuring, the imaginations that you're thinking of in those first 15 minutes of the Journey to Greatness sessions in the morning, that is the pace setter. That is the tone breaker. That is the essence of the journey. Because what you're doing is you're priming yourself to get ready for a day ahead of you. And you're saying, nothing's going to shake me today. As a matter of fact, this is how my day is going to go. And it may turn out totally different. But so long as your end alignment and the foundation of how you build each day in the morning is on a premise of love, truth, non-judgment, and peace, abundance, gratitude, humility, etc., and you come from that space, then that's what you're going to attract all day long. So it's like, I can't wait for my days to start, because yes, I do run into some boneheads, but at the end of the day, no judgment. But at the end of the day, I am able to experience life, and I'm able to experience people, and that makes me really happy. And I think that starts and stems from how I set my intention for my days every single day. And it's a daily routine. It's a daily thing that we should check in with ourselves. So God, the scripture is saying, is formless consciousness and the essence of who you are. So pretty much everything that's not a physical thing that we can touch, that's a part of our senses, is considered formless. To be in contact with our formless selves means that we're stepping into consciousness. Everything else's form is what people here adore. So people adore, like, oh, if I make money, then I'm really important or I'm really significant. No, you're the physical things that you have, the physical things that we have do not make us who we are. We make the physical things what they are, right? So so the spiritual selves is what elevates us higher, not the physical things that we have. So, but that's what people here on this earth adore. So being aware of that and being the compassionate beings stepping into enlightenment and stepping into a higher higher self-awareness and higher state of consciousness then allows us to create a better space in a society that tells us everything else is form. So everything that is form is our reality. The twofold reality of the universe, and here we go. This is the perfect words, which the twofold reality of the universe, which consists of things and space. Remember, space is the spiritual space, imagination space, how we've defined it. A sane, balanced, so not insane, a sane, balanced, and fruitful human life is a dance between the two dimensions that make up reality: form and space. So we talked about this like pretty much the whole journey. I only mentally come down to a physical space when I'm meeting somebody at a level of consciousness. And it's not me coming down to their level, quote unquote, right? But throughout the entire day, like my mind is in imaginary world. Like I'm creating just mind-blowing things, right? For me, and what I want to see and how I see the world and how I want to impact the world. So all throughout the day, and then sometimes I get this little wooden thing that I call a hurdle that jumps right in front of me. And it's usually the personality of somebody else or the opinion of somebody else. And it jumps out in front of me, and I usually have to jump over that. But in order to jump over that, I have to, for a slight time, I need to come back down. Because if I'm like, oh yeah, spiritual, universal will come and bless you. Some people are like, what the heck are you talking about? And they may not be ready to receive that message quite yet, right? So then I have to change my discussion. If I'm working with a client who may not be, on that, on that language of communication or that vibration, then I got to change my language or I'm going to lose the client. They're going to be like, wow, this guy's really cuckoo. So my point here is there's a fine balance. You got to jump between the two. And then on the physical side or the reality senses side, there is a lot of gratitude. If I do really well in business and I decide to reward myself with something small, like buying this new glass from IKEA for $1, and then, drinking my water out of it every morning, and I say, yeah, that's my reward. I went shopping. And I bought 12 of them. So I spent $12 plus tax, which is 13